Uh-oh, Patrick Mahomes already had a bum toe, maybe turf toe, now concussion issues, but guess what? He's cleared out of concussion protocol. I always thought he'd play, and we should have a fully, well, I don't want to say fully healthy, but a Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, Chiefs and Bills on Sunday night. Rodgers and Brady, the timeless and ageless ones, earlier on Sunday. And speaking of timeless and ageless, how about the noblemen, the original, the OGs, Dave Rieger, Task Force co-founder, Lawton Luntz, best friend co-founder, going back to the Capital City Stealth play-by-play days, as well as Champs and Jay Alexander's and Broman and all your great parties and your Barry Sanders jersey, which we got mine right there. And Lawton, it's great to have you. And Dave, it's great to have you. No, listen. Today's a very special day, and I wanted to have some of my best buds on to, just be able to celebrate something that means a lot to me, but also is because of people like you two, and I know we might have a couple other special guests dropping in a little bit, but today is my 10 years sober, and I mean, someone, thank you, but the reason I wanted to do this kind of combo show of the Task Force AFC, NFC title game show picks and celebrating my sobriety is because you two specifically, and there's others, and my parents obviously, and people that have been a big part of my life. The reason I'm 10 years sober, and I know that a lot of it has to do with me, I get that, but a lot of it's because of guys like you two. That square right there, that Dave square, and that square right there, that Lawton square. I mean that, and that's why I thought we could have a lot of fun with this. And someone, I think it was Tim Potts, my former intern from 97.1, that sent me a tweet and said, DTM with a decade, and just a decade. Like, it's crazy. I haven't drank or done drugs in 10 years. And I do, believe me, as you guys know, I don't need them. But I really don't need them because I got people like you in my life. So thank you both for always being there for me. It means a lot.
You're welcome. That's a great thing, man. You've done a really good job the last 10 years. And I guess I tell a lot of folks that ask about Dan the Man from 2012. How is he? How's he doing now? And I'm like, I think he's calmed down a little bit. I really do.
Just a smidge.
You still have energy. Dan Campbell said something really impactful yesterday during his press conference. He said, I don't adapt to the energy in the room. I initiate it or I create it. And I feel like that's kind of how you roll. That's how you do it, right? So I feel like that's still there, but I think the other stuff is definitely, you don't see it as much anymore. And I think definitely you've grown as an adult, Daniel-san. Good job.
Thank you for not comparing me to him talking about eating kneecaps, because if that was what it reminded me of Dan Campbell. By the way, I made Fallon last night. I mean, what a press conference. This guy's insane. But maybe that's what the Lions need. We're gonna, you try to put us down. We're gonna come up. We're gonna eat your kneecap. We're gonna eat again. We're gonna pull more of that kneecap. It's crazy.
Listen, I love it. I loved every minute of that press conference, and I'll tell you why. I feel like the previous three coaches were either disingenuous, smartest guy in the room, or just check the report. I just felt like there was never a personal connection with the media, and the energy is different. I like the dude branding. I like the fact that Dan Campbell's a football guy, and maybe the Lions actually got their guy finally. I really felt like that walking away from the press conference. It's obvious he hasn't had many press conferences, and he's still new at the cadence and all of that stuff. But I loved every minute of it. I like the energy, and I think it's what they need.
It's definitely possible they got the guy. It looks like it on paper. We got a real special guest that I want to get to in a second. But Dave, back to you. First, I want to get your thoughts on Campbell, but also just again, as I said about Lawton, and I'm going to say about the next guest coming on, and my other friend who I think he's having a little. I think he's on his phone, so we're going to hopefully get him soon. I wouldn't be where I'm at without you, and I mean that, and I mean that about Lawton. I mean that about there's several really key people in my life, and I include my listeners as well, because the outpouring of love and support, and people that have told me I've helped save their lives or inspire them to get sober. One guy told me he was on the way to his dealer, heard me talking about sobriety and recovery, and turned around and has been sober for 4 years. So I know, and I say this with humility, I know I've got a platform, and I know that I can help people. That's why I do it. But I don't take that for granted. And people like you, Dave, are the reason that I keep myself in check, because you give me a lot of crap, but also because you're a great friend. And that, that means a lot to me, Dave. It really does.
Yeah, I haven't known you for the past decade. I don't know how many years I've known you for. It's kind of all blended together into a time. It's like I'm in a time warp.
Well, your life's gotten better since you met me 6 or 7 years ago.
If you remember Back to the Future when he talks about the space-time continuum and it jets off to another spot, I think that's what happened when we met. I think my time continuum went off into like the Dan Leach bizarro world. So, but congratulations on 10 years. I can only imagine knowing you only as sober Dan Leach. I can only imagine you as like crazy Dan Leach before.
It was a thing.
It must have been something. It must have been something to witness. As far as the new Lions head coach is concerned, well, hey, I hope for all the Lions fans here in Detroit that he's the answer. I hope that the new general manager is the answer.
Do you really hope he's the answer?
I do.
You belittle us Lions fans.
I hope from the bottom of my heart that the Lions can deliver a championship to the city of Detroit, just so you can finally feel like feel what it's like.
Here we go, Lon.
To wake up on a Super Bowl Sunday morning and think, man, we're one of two teams that's left playing a football game today.
Well, I know what that felt like in '98 in Pasadena, so I know what it feels like football-wise.
We're talking about, we're talking about the NFL. We're not talking about Michigan. We're not talking about the Wings, the Pistons, the Tigers. You've lived through all that. You've seen it all. Yeah. You know that. But you have admitted to me in our personal talks that even though you're a Michigan fan from birth, the one thing that's missing in your life is the Detroit Lions Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
And that is the most important thing to you, is the Detroit Lions Super Bowl.
All right,
so we'll see if this is the answer. I don't know.
Something else.
Where's the T-shirt? I would have thought you would have had the new shirt by now.
Yeah, I'm not going to wear the Campbell soup shirt yet. Not yet. Let's give it a minute. But something else that's lacking in my life is me quitting smoking. And this is, as I mentioned, not just a great friend, but someone that's always tried to help me to quit smoking. He's wearing the Prague shirt. And Brian, as I mentioned, I wanted to have some of my best buds on because you guys are the reason that I'm at 10 years sober, a big part of it. And you've also been on me about the smoking thing, which I really do take that seriously. I'm not ready to quit yet.
No, you don't.
Brian, I do. But Chappie,
I know I shouldn't smoke. It's a commercial break. Let me go out and have 4 more cigarettes.
Let me just say this, though, and I said
I'm trying really hard. I'm going 10 minutes without cigarette.
I said this a lot, Dave, and it means the same to you. And, Brian, I know we haven't worked on air together much lately. We did for most of the football season. Before that, it'd been like a year. But I love you. You're a great friend. You've always been supportive. You really do care about me getting healthy. You make fun of me being overweight sometimes, which is very mean. But I've lost a lot of weight, so I'm getting there. But Brian, that's why I wanted you to be on, because you're just a great guy. And I'm lucky to have all three of you in my life. So, Brian, thanks a lot for being here. And I know people love our shows together, Chappie.
Yeah. S-O-L.
Yeah, well, no, this is a great occasion because you're 10 years sober. I've never been addicted to anything. I've never tried any hardcore drugs. I've never even tried weed. I don't know what it's like to be addicted or anything like that. I drink alcohol, but I drink it sparingly. I think last year I had alcohol less than 10 times. And so I don't know what it's like, but I know from talking to you, I know from talking to a lot of my Uber riders, because a lot of my Uber riders have been on drugs or are on drugs. They tell me about how much of a challenge it is to deal with their addiction. And they tell me how challenging it was for them to get off of their addictions. And for those of you that are dabbling in stuff like that, and
and are concerned about getting deeper involved into your drug abuse, definitely try and stop. Because I've heard some really crazy things, like things that are 30 times crazier than what Dan has gone through. And I'll give you a quick example. I was talking to a guy who used to be a heroin addict, and obviously that's something that you can relate to. And he told me that he had a friend who was also a heroin addict and used to go to the east side of Detroit to get high, to get his drugs and whatnot. And after a couple of days, one time they couldn't find him. And so they decided to go just looking around in different lots and whatnot, trying to find him. And they finally did find him. And he was rolled up inside of a carpet on an abandoned field, and he was decapitated. And the reason was because he was trying to pay for his heroin with counterfeit money. So they made an example of him. And that's just one of multiple stories I've heard. So I know that it's
sadly, Brian, there's a lot of them like that. My dad's best friend, who sadly just passed away recently, took his own life. His son was found in a ditch, similar to what you just mentioned, and he was frozen after he had overdosed. There's stories like that all over the place.
Yeah, it's definitely try and get help, whether it's listening to Leach, whether it's going to the all the public services that the state of Michigan has, whether it's paying for something if you have the ability to do so, because there are a lot of good stories like you have where you have gotten knee deep into it and gotten out of it, but there are a lot of tragic stories as well. So it's great that you're 10 years sober and you just have one more addiction to get over, and you have to get that desire. Well, you're gonna pick them up after the show ends and start puffing.
I need to hear the voice of reason here on the show, Brian Chapman, one of my favorite personalities on 97.1 The Ticket.
Oh, Brian's great.
Talk about the new Lions management.
See, Dave, this is why Dave's so good. Exactly what I wanted to ask.
I need Brian to tell me the truth about what's going to be the next 3 to 5 years with the Detroit Lions. Brian,
what do you mean 6 years? He's got a 6-year deal.
Is he going to make it 6 years, Brian? Tell me. Come on.
Well, here's what we know about the Detroit Lions as a whole. Every 2 to 5 years, they rebuild. And you can consider rebuilding a new quarterback. You can consider rebuilding a new general manager. You can consider rebuilding a new head coach. But every 2 to 5 years, they do 1, 2, or all 3 of those. So that's going to happen. Perhaps this offseason, we could see all 3 if Matt Stafford's gone, because they already have a new head coach and a new general manager. But I gave the hiring of Brad Holmes a C-, because I know that everyone's talking about, oh, look, he can write a nice report. And look at how well the St. Louis or the LA Rams did without any first round picks for the last several years, which is good. But the dude had an office out of Atlanta, and according to Carlos Menares of the Detroit Free Press, he wasn't a step or 2 below the GM. He was 5 steps below the general manager. If you're in that position, then you're not involved in any of the coaching hires, whether it was to hire Sean McVay or to hire any of his assistant coaches. If you're the college scouting director, that means you had little to no impact on all the free agents and trades that they made over the last couple of years. So, I mean, I didn't have any problem with them going with an inexperienced guy in terms of not having a previous GM job, but it wasn't an assistant GM. And this is the guy who had so little experience in so many different ways. And then you look at Dan Campbell, and he talks about, hey, I like to exploit weaknesses. I think everybody likes to exploit weaknesses.
And eat kneecaps.
Yeah, and eat kneecaps. Like the press conference, that was an A+. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a lot more fun to follow his press conferences than it will be it was for Jim Caldwell. Just check the report, and Matt Patricia, where he would just say thousands of words and put you to sleep.
Pad level, Brian, pad level.
Yeah, okay, great. Pad level. Well, he's going to say get below pad level and start chomping on those kneecaps. But I give this hire a C- as well. Yeah, exactly. Because this is a guy who doesn't have the experience in terms of calling plays anywhere, and I feel like, and I know that you were saying before I got on, or at least Lawton was saying, this is the guy. I'm not going to be tricked or suckered anymore. It's same old Lions until
Fair
proven
enough.
otherwise. Everyone
Proof's in the
thought
pudding,
that bringing in the Patriots were going to fix things, and
Yeah,
it
that
just
works.
wasn't the case.
Yeah, Brian, at least you didn't give either Brad Campbell's grade or I'm sorry, Brad Campbell, Brad Sherlock Holmes or Dan Campbell's grade a tie. At least there wasn't a tie.
Well,
Because
no, they're
Brian
tied at
notoriously
C-.
picks. Yeah, Brian loves to. Brian's like, the Lions are going to be 3-12-1. The Lions are going to be 5-10-1. Who picks a tie?
Hold up. Nobody's been more accurate over the last 3 years at 97-1 at picking the Lions record than me, because this past year I said 5-11 and they went 5-11. Last year, everyone made fun of me for predicting a tie when I said 4-11-1. And after the first game, everybody's prediction was null and void except for mine, and I was off by one game. And then the year before that, I was right about their record.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. But the first 3 years of Caldwell, I was off by one game. I had 11-5, 9-7, 9-7. One game.
That's
one game.
Was I the only one who was waiting for Campbell to break into what you gonna do when the Lions come raining down on you or something like that at the end of the season?
It was crazy.
It was basically just wrestling. It was basically just a wrestling, speech. That's all it was.
All right, well, let's do this. And great stuff by all you on the Lions and on the sobriety stuff. And really quick before we get into our championship game picks, which I think, listen, the Super Bowl is the best. And Lawton, you and I always, I don't know, not this year with COVID, but we have the best Super Bowl party with our UFL Fantasy League and food and friend. We ran out a bowling alley last year. It was awesome. Yeah. But and I owned my man Towers twice, beat him for the title and for the team, the playoff teams. We all get to pick one each. Championship Sunday might be the best day in sports. I mean, it's up there with March Madness. It's awesome. It's football day. It's two big games, and it's one of these things where I just wanted to say before we get into that, Brian, you told that heartbreaking story. We all have them, and I've shared some of those on air, and I've had people call in and share their stories. And I mentioned a little while ago before you mentioned your story, Brian, that people have told me either texted in or called in, that I've helped save their life or that I've helped inspire them to get sober. And I take that very, very seriously and humbly, and it means the world to me. But like you had said, Brian, there are so many people struggling that, just us talking about this whenever I can on the different shows that I do on 97.1 or the Task Force. We did a whole dedicated sobriety show. And if people want to see that, it's in, you can watch that on a replay. Had all these different amazing guests on. I think that as long as we're talking about it and sharing experiences, and Brian, like you said, it's great that you've never had to worry about that. I have a lot of friends that have it. Lawton, you've never had an issue with that. Dave's never had an issue with that. Unfortunately, I've had friends that have died from overdoses. My stepbrother. I mentioned my dad's, my dad's best friend's son. There's people that I know in my life that literally have gone to rehab 13 to 15 times, finally got sober. Some of them that are still having issues. Some of them went to prison. And it's all about discussing it and making sure people don't know they're alone. And that's why I will continue to do whatever I can. 10 years is awesome, but it's about getting someone one day. It's about getting someone 1 month. It's about getting someone to 1 year. And that's why I share my stories and having you three. And I know Cliff's having some problems with his phone, but he was going to come on, hopefully still will. And Stats, my friend too, is doing traffic. He might pop in for a minute. It's people like you that help me keep going, that help me get that to others. And that's one of the greatest gifts a friend could give another. And I applaud all of you for so many different reasons, but in my life specifically, without people like you, I would never be where I'm at. So thank you and kudos to all of you. And now, like I said, it's a great day to talk about that, but I want to pick some football games. And Brian, before we get into that, today is like, not that Dave and Lawton aren't excited, but not like you and I, because we're nuts. Today is like Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Easter, Passover, even Yom Kippur, all wrapped into one. Mobile betting is legal in Michigan. You and I have you're about to, but I have 50 million free bets going on right now, including the Pistons to score 10 points in the first quarter, even money. Brian, betting being legal on the apps in Michigan, how big a deal is it?
This is huge, and I hope I don't have to be on here too much longer because I know there's a bunch of games at 7, and I'm just, I woke up at 2:00 and then I worked out, and I have to figure out how I'm going to use all of my free gambling money and all these free promotions. And I know that there are games starting at 7. So I'm really jacked up about this. It's it's going to be extremely convenient for a lot of people that don't live close to downtown Detroit. Like I live reasonably close. I'm like 15 exits away, or actually I think about 13 exits away from Motor City Casino off the lodge. So I can get there whenever I want, but I've got other responsibilities and things. So I don't just go down there every other day or even every single week in order to do so. But now
do you know somebody who does go down there every single day? Like, I don't know that. I don't know this person.
I wonder, is it the person right up there?
There it is.
I wonder.
Not me.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I got other stuff to do, but now I can make my bets on my phone. I can look through all these different ridiculous promos, and then I can start making some serious money. And it's not just people like me or people that are 15 minutes away, but if you live in Sterling Heights and you work in Sterling Heights, you're not going to after work drive 45 minutes through rush hour traffic to get to MGM or whatever to place your bets. But now that it's right there at your fingertips, you can do so whenever you want. And if you're bored on a Wednesday night and you don't know what game to watch, it's awesome to just put $5 on Canisius versus Ryder, and then all of a sudden,
a big MAAC guy.
Yeah, I bet you are, and you become a big MAAC fan if you just put $5 on a game.
And you can bet live as well. Well, listen, let's make some people some money. Let's pick the title game weekend. I got some special music for us. All right, let's start with the NFC title game. Now, I was talking to my handicapper friend earlier. These sharps, the so-called professional gamblers, are on both Tampa Bay and Buffalo. They're on the dogs. Kansas City, we don't know 100% about Mahomes. We'll get to that game second, but let's start with Green Bay and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady, ageless, 43. Green Bay -3, -3.5. For our purposes, we'll say it's -3. Lawton, let's start with you, the king of the Dolphins. By the way, is Tua your quarterback or not?
Well, that's a lot to unpack there. What do you want first? I'll look through the Green Bay. I
just wanted a one-word answer on if Tua's your quarterback.
Tua's quarterback, absolutely for year two.
All right, what do you got
on that?
Green Bay and Tampa Bay, the battle of the Bays?
I like Green Bay all day. 35-17. Book it. I'm not sold on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the last two playoff games. I know I'm not going to buy into the rhetoric and the narrative that the GOAT is coming and he's going to go into Lambeau Field and knock out the Green Bay Packers. I'm not buying it. I thought New Orleans had an awful game plan last week. You're used to using two quarterbacks, and you decided to use your second quarterback one time, and it was successful for a touchdown. But you didn't do that. It was obvious that Breeze couldn't throw more than 20 yards, and that allowed the defense to really overtake that game. So. And who did they beat? Washington in the first week? I mean, I didn't think that they were going to lose to Washington. So, Green Bay special, Lambeau. I like them to cover. I like them to win big.
All right, good stuff, Baby Dave Rieger. Baby Dave Kingpin Rieger.
Green Bay, it's going to blow them out. They're going to go into Lambeau, and the GOAT's going to go home, and it's going to be over. Tampa Bay there, Dan?
Yeah, Tampa Brady.
Tampa Bay, yeah. No, it's not even going to be close. That Week 6 game where the Green Bay went down to Tampa and got blown out. Yeah, here's some revenge for the Buccaneers. There's going to be no more Super Bowl for Tom Brady. Green Bay all day.
By the way, Dave hates Tom Brady, just so you know.
All day.
B-Chap Sports, Green Bay laying the 3. Obviously, as you mentioned on the mobile apps, there's live betting, there's props, there's alternative spreads. How are you going to tackle Sunday's first game?
Well, I'm going to say that Dave Rieger is right and he's wrong. The GOAT is not going home. The GOAT is going to the Super Bowl because the GOAT is actually Aaron Rodgers, not Tom Brady. People want to sit there and talk about Tom Brady's better because he's had all this team success, but we're talking about an individual player, and Aaron Rodgers is a better individual player. That aside, the best team in the NFL over the last couple of months has been the Green Bay Packers. And it's because of, obviously, the greatest of all time, but also because of their running game. They had over 180 rushing yards with 3 running backs in their last game. And you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, why did they beat the Saints? It wasn't because they it wasn't because the Saints had some great game plan and the Buccaneers were so much better. It's because Breeze had an all-time offensive passing. Exactly. If they had an average quarterback, like even a Matthew Stafford-like quarterback, then the Saints win that game. But they had three picks. So you're dealing with a guy in Rodgers who doesn't throw interceptions ever. This is going to be Packers by at least 2 touchdowns.
All right, now, you made a very fair point about Rodgers being the GOAT as far as the position of quarterback, and I'm with you on that. Brady's even said that. Brady's the GOAT as far as winning goes and the 6 Super Bowls and all that stuff. But Brady has said in the past that if Aaron Rodgers played for New England, he'd probably have 9 titles, and that when you look at him, and yes, your boy Peyton Manning, Dave, I would say those 2 are the greatest ever at the position of quarterback. So, Brian, you're right, and I don't want to say you're wrong, but you're definitely right about that. But Brady's the GOAT when it comes to winning. I mean, Montana was, now it's Brady. And in this game, Rodgers is going to show it again. Brady, I thought, was going to have a good year, not a great year. He hasn't had a great year, but he's been better than I thought he'd be. And the Bucs made the playoffs. I mean, last year, they had famous crab legs Winston, 30 picks, 30 touchdowns, and yet we're on the edge of the playoffs. I thought they were going to kind of hang there with Brady in his first year because of the defense, because of what they did late in the season. Brady was good for a while late in the year, even though the team was wildly inconsistent. They're in the NFC title game, which is crazy. Never would have thought that in year 1. That being said, as Lawton, you said, best team in the NFL over the last couple of months. You look at, what Green Bay has done. Aaron Rodgers will outplay Brady. That Green Bay defense has been good. They have 475 yards against the Rams defense last week. They were going to get the job done. I'll give you a score. I'll go 31-21. Green Bay gets the job done. So it looks like we're all on Green Bay. Everyone's on Green Bay here. No top
of the didn't mention was Devontae Adams. I think that Rodgers to Devontae Adams thing has been special this year. Call it the eye test. Call it what you want. They have just they're on a unique plane right now with their connection, and that's been impressive too. Like you said, they beat up the number 1 defense last week, so that gives me a lot of confidence going into this weekend.
All right, we're gonna pick the AFC title game in a minute. And people might say, "Well, Leach, you're celebrating 10 years sober. Why is one of your sponsors a whiskey company?" Well, because I don't drink, my friends can have fun. So here's a message from our friends at Screwball.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey, a refreshingly unique taste on the world's most classic spirit. It goes down smooth with a perfectly blended finish. Anything but ordinary, and always lives up to the name. Sure, it sips a little different, and that's just who we are. Peanut butter. Screwball Whiskey, the original peanut butter whiskey.
And you guys know I'm a Screwball, so it works. It is one of the highest selling liquors in the world. My dad loves it. I'm going to get you guys all some free Screwball stuff, so enjoy that. And thanks for them being a part of the task force. All right, AFC title game. This is going to be really interesting if you're a bettor, as Brian and I like to, play the ponies, and David Law to an extent too. But now with mobile betting legal, I'm sure, Brian, a lot more people are going to bet this game than would have. We'll start with you here. Watch the information about Mahomes. It came out about an hour or so, 2 hours ago now, that he cleared concussion protocol. I know he practiced on Wednesday. I think that it's a probably 95% thing he's going to play. Does it mean he's going to be 100% effective? No. But you look at this spread, Vegas said, the odds makers said that if Mahomes didn't play, it could be Bills -1 to Bills -7. But they're discounting Chad Henne. Anything can happen. If Mahomes plays, Chiefs -3 to 4. 70% of the public, by the way, is on the Tampa Bay Bucks. 60% of the public is on the Buffalo Bills. And I love the Bills, but Brian, is Mahomes going to be too much, even not 100%?
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to be too much. If this game was sitting at like -6 or something like that, then I'd be more inclined to take the Buffalo Bills, because the Chiefs, while they've been doing all this winning, they've been winning by single digits game after game.
Yeah, they haven't covered in 7 straight games. I think they've covered in 7 straight and 8 of 9.
Yeah, but it's hard to win a football game without winning by at least 3 points. So if they're going to cover, they're most likely going to win this game. I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to – they have the weapons in the passing game to be able to hang with the Chiefs, considering the Chiefs do not have a strong defense of their own. But I think if it's going to come down to the fourth quarter and it comes down to the play calling of Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy, who should have an NFL head coaching job but doesn't, then you have to give the edge to the Chiefs. You have to give the edge to the playmaking ability of Patrick Mahomes with all those different weapons around him. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I think the Chiefs win by about a touchdown and cover that spread.
All right, good stuff from B-Chap Sports. Let's go to you, the Lunsters. You got Mahomes, you got Josh Allen. I've been talking about how much I love the Bills for a couple months, but my preseason pick was Saints and Chiefs. I'm not switching now. That being said, this is a really crazy game. And Brian, you kind of alluded to a great point that I want to lead into with you, Lawton. As far as the line goes, if Mahomes wasn't injured, it might have been 6. It might have been 5.5 because there might have been early action. Plus, they might have said it that way in the first place. The fact that it's kind of hanging over his head and who knows how good he's going to be health-wise overall, you might be lucky if you're a Chiefs bettor because you can get this game and buy it down from 3 to 2.5. And, 3 and 7 are those key numbers in the NFL. Lawton, I think if you're going to go Chiefs in this one, you might be lucky the spread's 3 and not 6.
Yeah, so I like the Chiefs to win, the Bills to cover. So both these teams, both these teams proved in the regular season that they could score points. So I'm actually excited about this game. I think there's a reason this game is scheduled at 6:40. It's the second. It's the highlight. I think I like the Chiefs to get up big early and the Bills to backdoor cover at the end. I like the Chiefs 31, Bills 30. If you don't watch the game, you're going to think it was close, but I don't think it's going to be close during the game.
All right, Baby Day, before I get to you, I think that he doesn't have much time, so I want to get him in right away. I mentioned that we're having some of my best buds on this show that are the reason that I'm 10 years sober and beyond. This guy is if maybe the biggest of all the reasons. I met him when I was in rehab. Cliff, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, if you can hear me too. I don't know. I'm using my Bluetooth.
This is the legendary Benjamin Clifford Early. Dave and Lawton, I know you know him. Brian, I don't know if you've ever met Cliff before. Cliff, I can't thank you enough for being the friend you've been, for being the support you've been, and the inspiration you've been. And like I said, people like you and I stay sober and are sober because of the people that are in our lives. And the reason that I'm where I'm at are these people in these boxes on the screen right now. And obviously some others, my parents as well, and sister and nephew and brother-in-law, and too many to thank. But the main ones are in these boxes right now. Cliff, I love you, man. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It just got to make other people wonder what my major malfunction is if I'm played this much of a part in turning your boat around 10 years ago. But,
that's true.
Shout out to everybody else. See y'all when I saw y'all in Detroit, or I've seen you on Facebook or around. It's good to see all of y'all.
Cliff, before I let you go, you got a minute or you have to go?
Yeah.
Are you good for a minute?
No, I've got a minute.
All right, so before I get to Baby Dave Rieger, let me let you pick the first game. Packers -3 against Tampa Brady and the Bucs.
That's
tough.
That's tough. And it's kind of interesting. If someone were to script Brady, would he go out at 43, even though he says he's got another couple in him, to beat Breeze at Breeze's house and then to go into Lambeau and take on Rodgers and then have the opportunity to take on the new guard in the Super Bowl is pretty exciting. I think that Z Smith is and the defense is gonna terrorize Brady. I think the Packers are gonna hold on there in the end. In the second game, I kind of like the favorite. I think Chad Go Blue Henne showed a lot to us last week that he's solid and perhaps deserves a starting job. And I just think the Chiefs are just too deep. The distraction, I would have taken the Bills, but the Bieniemy, I don't know how much of a distraction that's been for the Bills this year. The Bills aren't used to having their coaches purged during the playoffs, whereas the Chiefs, they've been there for the last few. So I'd like to see the Bills pull the upset, but I think the Chiefs are going to be too strong.
Yeah, you
it's good to see everybody, man. It's good to be on.
Yes. Brian Dable, by the way,
your hair looks great.
I know it's great, isn't it? Not much left, but it's good. By the way, speaking of Chad Hattie, Cliff, before I get to Dave's pick on the game, and then we'll get to mine. You and I, Pensacola, where Cliff is from, born and bred, and this great place called Seville Quarter. We watched that 2007 Capital One Bowl. I was like the only Michigan fan. There was like 2 Michigan fans there. Chad Hattie's finest moment carried Lloyd Carr off the field. You were there with me when he beat Tim Tebow and the stupid Gators.
That's right. Those were good times.
Those
back
were.
when people were telling us Tim Tebow might win the Heisman, and we told them they were nuts.
Yep. And Lon is a big Tebow guy. I give you respect, Lon, but he's got a playoff win.
And that was back around the same time you got to interview Ernie as well.
Yes, Ernie Harwell, the legend. All right, Cliff, great stuff from you. Dave, Chiefs, Bills. As I said, Mahomes is very likely to play. It's not 100%, but I think if he wasn't going to play, the line would have dipped much more low in the last couple of days. I think that he's clear concussion protocol, as I said, and I think he's going to play. I know you hate Mahomes. I know you hate the Chiefs because you're a Broncos slap, but let's be honest here. The Chiefs are they've been inconsistent with covering the spread, but they've won a ton of games, and they're the defending champions.
All I have to say is that I hope that Mahomes has his State Farm insurance paid up because that Chiefs truck is about to hit the ditch and give it out. Bills are going to win outright. You don't have to worry about the spread. Bills are going into Arrowhead and winning this game and going to the Super Bowl. And it's going to be Bills. It's going to be Bills versus Packers. And you know what? I think the Bills will beat the Packers too. And that'll be that. Bills the way, winning the whole thing.
If it, and I'm going to get to my pick in a second. If it is Bills Packers, I think it's Packers -3 is the early line on that one. And I think if it's Chiefs Tampa, it would be the Chiefs like -6. I think that's what the early line was. But Dave, you're not crazy.
You know what they say about the Bills, don't you, Dan?
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bulls.
That's right. There you go.
Back Bills. Right. But this is where I'm at with this. And I've been on the Bills, and I've loved them. And Josh Allen in his third year, he's truly become a star. You look at Stephon Diggs. McDermott, the coach, has been such a connective tissue with those guys. I think we lost Cliff. We love him, though. I think you look at it like this. I wish I wanted to take the Bills because they definitely can win. But I believe the Chiefs are still just good enough with Mahomes under center that in the end, and I kind of like where you went, Lawton, where, yeah, the Bills could cover, the Chiefs could win. It could be a 1-2 point game. But I think in the end, and even if Henny has to come in, this guy's been in the league for 14 years. He's not, Dan Orlovsky. He's not David Blaujob.
It's over. If Henny's got to come in, it's even worse.
Henny was in the 4th and 1 play.
Even worse. It's even worse.
But
nobody's talking about Mahomes' foot either.
Mahomes, everyone's
all they're talking about is concussion protocol. Nobody talking about his foot.
All right, guess what? I didn't know if he was going to be able to come in. But this, speaking of all the people that have been incredible in my life, up there with all of you is this guy, the legendary, the king of the world, one of my favorite people on earth, Dennis Fithian. Dennis, I'm so glad you could pop in.
I thought you were introducing somebody else with that kind of intro.
Are you kidding? You know how much I love you.
Well,
I missed you.
Good to see everybody, man.
Dennis, you look great. You look great. And I could have asked for a better cavalcade of whimsy friends on this show. And I celebrate, like I said earlier, this 10 years sober because of you and with you. And I just love you, man. And I'm really glad you can come in for a minute.
Yeah, I'll say something about your 10 years coming up in a little bit, but I don't want to disrupt the football talk. I know you guys were talking about Patrick Mahomes' foot and the concussion protocol and everything. Looks like he's good to go. You expected him to be 100%, right?
Yep. Why don't you let's start with you with the Packers and Tampa Bay, Pack -3. How do you see Packers and Tampa Bay?
I love the Packers, but you know what? I don't want to bet it because I hate the Packers, so I'm not going to root for the Packers. So I love the game, but there's no way I want to root for Tom Brady. So I'm just going to root for Tom Brady, and I got some fantasy things in play there, but I'm not putting any money down on the Packers. I mean, come on, what am I going to do?
I love that you're like, I want to be the Packers, but I don't want to be the Packers because I hate the Packers. That's great. This is true, football stuff because I hate the Packers too. What do you think about this game with the Chiefs and Bills, Dennis? As I was saying, Mahomes 95+% is going to play, maybe 100% now, even if he's only out there for a minute. Chad Henne, I don't want to say a viable backup, but it's not like he's an idiot. The guy knows what he's doing. And this is a very interesting game because both teams are really good. Bills are completely balanced with Allen's ability to run for 100, throw for 300. They've got tons of pieces on offense. This is a tough one, but I think I might know where you're going with this one, Dennis. I might.
Yeah, the Bills haven't blown anybody out since week 8. They've only won by the most 6 points, but they don't have to win by 6 points here. I think the number's way too low. I think you just you bet the Chiefs, put your right foot down to the gas, and feel good about collecting your money. I don't see the Bills winning this game. I know Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, they've had a nice season. I think not having Moss is a big deal in their running game, so they can't have the tandem. They just have to go to Singletary. So, you know what? I hate to sound a little bit like Dan Campbell yesterday, but the Chiefs really do have the ability to make you play left-handed and just go for the matchup. If you send everybody back in some kind of cover 3 because you're worried about Tyreek Hill, they're going to go over the middle to Kelsey. The first time that the two played, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran for 161. I don't know if he's playing in this game, but it looks like Darrell Williams could run for 102. That should be the game plan there. But they're very good, Andy Reid, and what Dan Campbell is talking about, at being able to look out there and say, hey, here's our matchup. This is the one we're going to exploit. We're going to go. We've got all of the answers out there. Now, they've got the quarterback, the tight end, and the wide receiver to be able to do it. I don't know if the Lions have any of those pieces, but I love the Chiefs.
Yeah, in fifth, I thought you were going to say, I'm glad you didn't say, I don't want to sound like Dan Campbell. I want to eat your kneecaps and eat your children. But I do want to ask you, you and I, the host of the Lions, Dave Ringer still believes he's the greatest call we've ever had on our Lions postgame show. And hopefully you and I are hosting that again someday.
That is correct.
But I do want to get your thoughts on Campbell and Sherlock Holmes. I know it's all on paper, but, very few could break down Lions stuff like you, Dennis. What do you think about what seems like the right hires, but who the hell knows?
Well, I agree with Dave. He did have the best call ever on the Lions post game. It was a little Bronco heavy, but I liked it. I'm very suspicious of the Fords always, and I don't like that Rod Wood has emerged here with more power. And the thing that kept jumping out to me, I think Dan Campbell could do a fine job, and I think Holmes looks like he's a pretty good personnel guy. But, the thing that's in the back of my mind here is, Sheila Ford and Rod Wood kept talking about, culture. Well, they're the problem with the culture. And, Wood emerges with more power is something I don't like. I'm very suspicious about Spielman, the cap guy, Wood on personnel. Very dangerous if you're a Lions fan to say, oh, well, let's give all these guys an opportunity. They'll have the opportunity to do that. But I don't like the part about Wood there. But I think Campbell will do a nice job. It's just if Wood is going to interfere in the Fords like they always have, I would say, that's a likelihood.
Well, you invented the phrase the 60-year stink. Let's hope that it finally can move forward. It's been over 60 years and one freaking playoff win. By the way, here my nephew's popping in. Hey, the Owens, there he is.
Hey,
the
Owens.
With a big fish. He caught a big fish. All right, before we go, I want to make my pick. I think the Chiefs will be too much. I'm loving the line at 3. I'm not even going to tell you to buy it down to 2.5. I think the Chiefs win this by about 7. It's going to be a great game, but in the end, too much Tyreek Hill. You mentioned Williams. I think the Chiefs defense comes with a big turnover, maybe forces a fumble or an interception, and the Chiefs win this game. So that's where I'm at with this one.
You're saying I'm the only person on this esteemed panel that's taken the Buffalo Bills.
Well, yeah, but Dave, how much of it is because you really believe the Bills, or the other is it because you just hate Mahomes?
I believe it. Here's what we don't need. We don't need to see the Chiefs go back-to-back. Nobody cares. We also don't need to see Brady. We don't need to see Brady in another Super Bowl. Nobody cares. Let's get some new blood in there. Aaron Rodgers only has 1. Let him go for 2. The Bills, let them try to get their first one on their 5th try. Why not?
There you go. The Owens is on the Bills. You got my nephew.
There you go. Owens knows. I mean, come on.
But I had Josh Allen, which won my fantasy football league with a family. So, I don't know what he's doing.
Does anybody really want to see the Chiefs go back-to-back? No.
I picked them for the season.
Does anybody want to see Tom Brady win another Super Bowl? No.
But, Godwin wins the Super Bowl. We'd appreciate that. We are Penn State.
We are. All right, listen. Once again.
Sorry, nobody cares about that either. Sorry.
I could have asked for a better lineup of people that mean the world to me. Before we go, I want to give everyone a chance at a parting shot. L. Luntz, we'll start with you. And by the way, check out Lawton's new show with a certain director behind the scenes. It's called Hey, That's Easy. He's doing a great job with our friend Ava and all these different people from all different walks of life that show you how to make food and mental health and all this stuff, different stuff. It's really cool, so check that out. Lawton, parting shots from you, and thank you again for everything.
Of course, parting shot. We're going to tell a little quick story about Mr. Dan Leach. Just over 10 years ago, when he was at my house, January 1st, it was the day that Michigan State lost to Alabama big, and Michigan lost to Mississippi State real big in those 2 bowl games. Dan Leach was at my house. He was acting really strange. We bought a bunch of KFC. He wanted to go there. We got back. He didn't want to eat, and he wanted to lay down. And I was like, what's going on with this guy? 3 weeks later, you tell me you checked into rehab and you were out of your mind at my house that day. I would have never known. And so very proud of you that you've been able to come so far. Love working with you. It's been a pleasure. No matter what venture we do together, it seems to be a lot of fun. And for the most part, I mean, B+ work at least, right? So very happy for you. Happy anniversary. And let's keep the dream alive, as you would say.
I promise I will. Thanks so much, LL. Brian Chapman with the Prague shirt on. What do you got, friend?
Well, definitely congratulations once again on 10 years of being sober, 10 years of not being addicted to alcohol or drugs. But there's still one last thing that you have to kick, and that is the addiction to cigarettes. And look, over the last couple of years, I pretty much have not brought up the cigarette addiction to you because it's clear that you have not had any interest in doing it. And it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. But
well, it's not interest. It's not ready yet, but you're right.
Well, I mean, if I'd say you should quit smoking and then seconds later you're outside polluting the skies, that I think that says something. But look, this is an opportunity for me to do so because I have the platform of your show and the people that are watching. That while you've been an inspiration when it comes to drugs and alcohol, this is another opportunity for you to be an inspiration if you could kick the habit of smoking, because everybody that listens to you knows that you are a big. I mean, if you could advertise for cigarettes, every single cigarette company would be going to you saying, "Hey, can I get on the task force because I know you love to smoke cigarettes."
But I can't say that's not true.
But if you could kick that habit too, I think you'd be even more of an inspiration. That obviously the cigarettes that you're smoking, they've taken that you smoked have taken a toll on your body, and hopefully it won't come to pass. But the quicker you kick that habit, the quicker you'll be able to get back to full health. So I hope that at some point in the near future, it'll be more than just talk, and you will actually say, "I have smoked my last cigarette," no matter how difficult it is to do.
I appreciate that, and my nephew's on your side. He said you're right, and I can't disagree with that. The great Dave Kingpin Rieger.
You know, I just want to say congratulations on 10 years. I haven't known you the whole time. I've only known you for probably maybe 6 or 7 of the past years. But I do have to say it is quite a joy to watch your life, which is like watching a soap opera play out in real time. So I can only imagine what it was like. And only, I guess, Lawton can probably tell us the truth of what it was like pre that January 1st day before you checked yourself into rehab, what it was like living in a world with Dan Leach.
It was great at times, but it was pretty awful at times.
You know, so here's to another multiple decades of staying sober and getting healthy. And can I just get one thing that I really like, that I really gotta have from Dennis Fithian? Can I please get a good afternoon, please?
Well, good afternoon.
There we go. There we go.
Well, and last but obviously not least, a legendary figure in Detroit sports and my life, and my favorite person ever to work with. Brian, I love working with you too, but Dennis is my guy too. Dennis, you get the last word here. I just want to say that you're killing it on TK. I hope and pray, we've talked about this in my heart, that we get to a chance to work together again, because there's no one that I've enjoyed working with more in my career than you. And you know this. I know I've embarrassed that, not embarrassed you, but I've said, you know, flowing and glowing things on air before, and you know that I mean every word. And I just can't thank you enough for coming on for a minute today, and just for being a part of my life.
Yeah, well, I'm really glad that you're in the place that you are now, because the drugs and alcohol can put you in a very dark place. And knowing your situation like I do, it sounds like, you know, you could have been somebody that could not be with us if you would have kept down that same path. So I'm very happy that you made the decision 10 years ago. And I know how incredibly, I don't know personally, I know how incredibly difficult it can be. Listening to the anecdotes, your own personal stories about, you know, the challenges of being able to stay clean. You've been able to do it, And along the way here, I do know from personal experience, because when we worked together, I would get messages, to my Facebook, like, "Hey, you're doing a great job, staying 6 years clean. You're a real inspiration to me." And I'm like, "Yeah, hey, thanks, dude. That's not me. You mean Dan?" But a lot of people would send me those messages. But I know it means a lot to people out there to see somebody that is in a public space, that's out there, that's willing to put themselves out there and help people along the way. And you've really done that. And I think that's the biggest thing out of all of that. And when you're ready to to hang up the smokes, you'll do that. And we'll be here for you when you're going to do that. But you're a talented broadcaster. You're a great guy, and congratulations on 10. And here's the 10 more.
Dennis, thank you so much to all of you. I can't think you. Words can't express the gratitude. I do want to tell one quick story before we go. One of the nicest messages I got all day today was from Jamie Samuelson's wife, his widow, Christy. Christy McDonald, but Christy Samuelson, and she sent me a message and just said that Jamie would be so proud of you today. And he was always, like you guys, so supportive, such a good guy. And everyone on this screen right now is just a great human being and great at what they do in this field of broadcasting, whatever the job is they do. And I just, people like him and people like all of you are the reason. Like I said, I celebrate this day because of you, and I celebrate it with you. And I'm just extremely blessed and lucky and grateful. And it's going to be definitely 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 more. But because I got people like you in my life. So thanks to all of you guys. It's going to be a great championship weekend. I can't wait to see all you guys when it's safe and, we get our vaccines and everything's different than it was for the last year plus. But just thanks for being you, and keep up the great things that you do in your life and your family. Dennis, your great kids, and Marianne and Dave, you and your family, your crazy brother. But I love all of you. Lawton, of course, a great father. Brian, you and your family as well. And let's have some fun this weekend with some football. Sound good?
I'll take the under on 50.
You'll take the under?
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it. Hey, it's people like me that have done way too many bad things and end up living like 100 years old. So you never know. You never know.
And Dan's not leaving this planet until the Lions win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's going to be like 21-16 or something.
Tony Ortiz already believes that Dan Leach is 51 years old.
Whoever wants to get on the show, he's on the show. He's a great human. All right, I want to thank each and every one of you. Lawton, Dave Kingpin Rieger, Brian Chapman, Dennis Fithian. I love you all. Please wash your hands, spread love, not hate. If you're struggling and you need help with addiction stuff, reach out to me. Reach out to a friend. You're not alone. If you have any issues with mental health stuff, you need a suicide prevention hotline, the mental health resources, please reach out to someone. I promise you're not alone, and it can make a huge difference and save yours or someone else's life. Thanks to each and every one of you. We'll see you next time. Until then, Dan Leach, believe in the dream.